I have this sense that there's something valuable has popped up. Like I literally like the hair on the back of my neck just came up a little bit.
Cool.
I asked my wife this morning, am I more of a Petersonian or more of a Vervaekean at this point? And like for years, I've been like, John's my friend. Like I text him and ask him questions, right? But I had the sense that like more of the cognitive furniture that I use to make sense of the world actually came from Peterson, which I felt guilty about because I was like, they're not the same and they do have differences and there's some conflict in their worldviews, right?
Mm.
And I was like, but John's my buddy, right? Like I should be in John's camp on this stuff in some way. Like I had that sense of disloyalty. Um, but John was like, no, I get it, right? Like he's so generous with that stuff. But recently I've been like, no, I actually feel like more of the core stuff at that's influencing my work and my worldview. Ultimately, I'm getting from John, and I think what you just pointed out is like at the heart of the reason why.
Mm.
Because you're asking this question of like, I think one of Peterson's best concepts is ideological possession, right?
Mm.
Like there are certain things that someone says and you can fill in the rest of what they say, right? Like you can just say, I know exactly what you're going to believe on everything, right?
Mm.
So if someone is really adamant that it is always okay for a trans woman to compete with women, right? Like what are the chances that they're pro Second Amendment? Like zero, right?
They can't be
Right.
zero, right? There's got to be that one outlier.
Okay, there's one outlier, right? But like you can kind of just plug in that person's worldview.
Hmm.
And I don't mean this to say that like that's necessarily wrong, because I think to I've been playing this out because I don't think that someone who was born in a male body should compete as a female. I think that this isn't a gender, this isn't an identity thing, it's a physical thing, and we need to be able to make that separation. But if I was to say only people on the extreme ideological left adopt a position that I'm against, and therefore it's not smart. Well, the counterpoint is like, well, what about gay marriage, right? Wasn't that also like something that at one point you could almost perfectly predict somebody?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that it is, because I think libertarians were like, yeah, I get it, gay marriage is okay, because that it aligned on different dimensions. And then I was like, well, what's the other side of it, which is like, if someone believes that Obama was not born in this country,
Mm-hmm.
right, then you know everything about their politics too. So there's this idea of ideological possession. It's like you go and you adopt everything that comes from a specific thing, and then you end up playing out this non-player character, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you've heard these slogans all over the time. Diversity is our strength, right? Make America great again. It's like once people are in that place, they're just expressing a possession. The reason I bring this up is because I've seen people do that with Peterson,
Mm.
right? Like there's this mimetic layer of Peterson that has penetrated a certain aspect of the culture, and then there's all these people who are just NPCing out their Petersonianisms,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there's like deep insight from which those memes came out of, and if you go into it, you can find something really good. But a lot of people can't get to the good because they're seeing the mimetic layer and they're reactive against it for
Yeah.
good reason,
Yeah.
right? They're like, oh yeah, all these Petersonian kids are they're just another cult, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but what's interesting about John is that I think I listened to John early on being asked about Peterson, and he said, like, I get it, like I love a lot of his concepts, but where are the practices? Okay, so you're a pragmatist, you're an American
Mm-hmm.
pragmatist who believes that like the fundamental Christian worldview is the center of how we solve these problems.
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like? How do you actualize this pragmatic Christianity? And
12 rules,
so
baby.
yeah, 12 rules is a good start. But I think that what distinguishes, what makes what John is doing so valuable is that it's about creating a system by which you scaffold up good worldview attunement, right? So it's not so easy to know exactly, right, like what the NPC version of it is. You can't just be like lobsters and dominance hierarchy and stand up straight with your shoulders back, right?
Yeah.
So it's never going to have the same type of penetrative power, I don't think, because people want those easily adopted things, right? They want to just say, I'm going to put on a tie with lobsters on it, and now people know that
It's
I'm
a
one of the good people,
subtler, it's a
right?
subtler teasing out. Yeah. Would you
But
agree that?
but
Sorry,
when
keep going.
but when you adopt that layer of it, it can be it's a trap. It's just like you talked about with parkour. It's like parkour offers transformative power, and then if you think that it's the end answer to what you're trying to become in life, then it's a trap, right? It's like you saw that it transformed you, and then you would keep investing, but it's not transforming you in the ways that you need to be transformed. And so you can end up like in a negative cycle where you're just like putting more and more into something that's delivering less and less.